Hello everyone! Want to know what Steven Universe has a lot of right now? No, not gems, gem weapons, or anything gem related. What this show has a lot of is emotional scenes. And when I say emotional, I mean crying on the floor just thinking about the scene emotional. Well, maybe not that bad. Just occasionally. Anyways, I'm going to count down the top 10 most popular emotional scenes in the show. I picked the scenes and you guys voted on the Cartoon Amino app at which order the scenes will come in. There are tons of emotional scenes in the show so far, so don't be too surprised if your favorite scene was not included in the list. So, here comes the list. Number 10. Coach Steven. Pearl almost gives up in her battle against Sugalite. Coach Steven was a turning point for the show in many ways. This is the episode where the R-word consistently began to look beautiful, and is also the first episode where we learn that fusion is not always a good thing, and can be very dangerous. Sugalite, the fusion between Amethyst and Garnet, wants to stay fused because she feels powerful. However, as Pearl teaches Steven in this episode, there is more than one way to feel strong, and it is not always through physical means. At first it seems that Steven did not take Pearl's lesson to heart, and when Pearl has to fight Sugalite in order to make her defuse, it seems like Pearl is outmatched. She does not believe she is strong enough to take on a foe as massive as Sugalite. But Steven tells Pearl she is strong in the real way, and Pearl realizes that she can get an advantage over Sugalite by using her own size and agility. When Pearl is at her weakest, she is the most open to seeing what can be done to change the situation.
Amethyst, I wasn't strong enough to protect you. I'm not strong enough to do anything.
Come on, Pearl! Don't give up! I know you can take her down!
I can't.
Yes, you can!
Number 9. Alone Together. Stevani has a mental breakdown at the party. In this episode, Steven and Connie fuse into Stevani for the very first time. This whole episode was very emotional, from Steven and Connie dancing and eventually fusing, to Garnet's motivational speech about how being a fusion is an experience, to Stevani enjoying being themselves. However, the episode reaches its most tense and perhaps most distressful point when they arrive at the party. At first, things are cool as they try to be themselves, but they simply do not fit in. The reality of the situation is nothing like they imagine, and it makes them insecure.
This right? This is how it's supposed to be. Why isn't it like it's supposed to be?
Despite the fact that they have each other, they have never felt more alone. The scene was able to accurately capture what it is like to be scared in a situation where you feel helpless. It does not help that right after this, a guy named Kevin comes in and makes Stevani feel even more uncomfortable. Fortunately, Stevani is able to take control of the situation and eventually have a little more fun being a fusion. Number 8. An indirect kiss. Steven and Connie almost kiss. This moment in the show is pretty huge, especially for fans that want to see Connie and Steven end up together, which in all honesty will most likely happen. Throughout the episode, Steven deals with his expectations as a crystal gem, and especially what it means to be the son of Rose Quartz, the former leader of the rebellion. He does not know if he will ever have the same powers of his mother, or even if he can be there when his friends need him. When he tells Connie that he does not have healing tears, he is ready to give up, but Connie will have none of this. It takes Connie for him to realize that no matter how he turns out, she will still be friends with him. Then they almost kiss, but this never happens because Connie learns that her eyes have been fixed thanks to Steven's healing spit. Only Connie was able to show Steven how special he really is, with or without his powers.
Mom, what if I never get those powers?
Then you'll be like me. That's not so bad.
But if I don't have powers, then I can't hang out with Amethyst, or Garnet, or Pearl, and I can't go on missions!
You don't need any powers to be here with me.
Number 7. Maximum Capacity. Amethyst shapeshifts into Rose to upset Greg. The relationship between Amethyst and Greg had not really been shown much up until this point in the show. It turns out that after Rose made Steven, Greg and Amethyst spent a lot of time together watching a show called Little Butler. They eventually stopped watching it because they were getting too sucked into the show. However, years later the same thing happens again, but this time Greg knows things have gone too far. Yet Amethyst has not had enough and gets very angry when he wants to leave. She eventually connects this back to Greg, only ever caring about his connection with Rose Quartz. It has mostly been known as a Pearl thing to get mad at Greg for taking Rose, but deep down Amethyst was jealous of Greg for his relationship with Rose. It is hard not to get angry when someone steals a person who is basically a mother to you.
What about me, huh? I had someone who was always there for me until she started hanging out with you!
Don't do this, Amethyst. Seriously.
I bet you'd stay for her.
You wouldn't.
What?
It takes Steven to settle things between the two. Unfortunately, he came a bit too late as Amethyst shapeshifts into Rose in order to psychologically hurt Greg. Did Greg deserve it? Absolutely not, but Amethyst did not care. She was not ready to lose another friend and was at her breaking point. Number 6. Space Race. Steven convinces Pearl to abort her mission to space. This episode taught a good moral to its viewers. It's okay to bail when you have gone way too far with something. This lesson is put on full display when Pearl is determined to go back to her homeworld via a homemade rocket. Of course, things do not go as planned, and she jeopardizes both her life and Steven's. Pearl, being a very stubborn gem, does not want to abort the mission and accept that she has messed up yet again. Steven, however, knows that she is not a failure and that she should be happy with what she has on Earth. Because of Steven's pleading to Pearl, she eventually accepts defeat and gets both herself and Steven back to safety. Perhaps Pearl saw something of Rose and Steven at that moment, and she was able to realize what she was doing and how she could potentially harm others through her actions.
Pearl! I know you miss space and I know you worked hard, but sometimes you just gotta know when to bail.
Number 5. Jailbreak. Ruby and Sapphire fuse. The season 1 finale was an amazing episode. Not only did we get the song Stronger Than You and the fusion Malachite, we also got to see Ruby and Sapphire fuse for the very first time. Garnet getting destroyed by the gem destabilizer was a very sad moment, but it was all worth it to see Ruby and Sapphire meet each other once again and fuse. This is the moment when many people's theories came true, and we got to see that these two gems didn't feel complete unless they are with each other. It is their love that is able to win against Jasper, and once fused, it is seen that Garnet never truly feels alone.
Wait, are you gonna be able to beat her on your own?
It's okay, Steven. I'm never alone.
Number 4. Message received. Peridot stands up to Yellow Diamond. This is the most recent episode on the main top 10 list, and is definitely a turning point for Peridot and her relationship with the Crystal Gems. This episode truly showed us who Peridot was loyal to. At first it was very disappointing to see that Peridot still wanted to go back to Yellow Diamond and betray the Crystal Gems after Steven had tried so hard and had done so much for her. But just when you think everything is lost, Peridot realizes that she has been rooting for the wrong side this whole time. Can you really blame her though? Homeworld was all she has ever known, and she was most likely brainwashed into thinking a certain way. It took her so many episodes for her to realize just how beautiful the Earth is, and that it is a place worth protecting, no matter the cost. Peridot stands up to her foreign master and calls her a clod. Yep, you heard that right, a clod.
I won't do it! I can tell you with certainty that there are things on this planet worth protecting!
What do you know about the Earth?
Apparently more than you, you clod!
Not the most eloquent choice of words, but it gets the job done. And let's be honest, this whole scene is entirely worth watching just because of the face Yellow Diamond makes right after Peridot says that. Number 3. Line 3. Straight to video, Rose's message to Steven. If there has been a single episode that threw an emotional curveball, it is this one. Almost nobody expected this episode to be meaningful or special at all. Just look at the episode's description. Who would suspect that in this episode we would finally get to see Rose Quartz while she was still alive? Plus, we get to see a younger Greg, which is also very cool. Steven finds a VHS tape in Lion's mane and takes it to the Big Donut to watch it with Sadie. What happens next is unlike almost any other moment in the show. Both Steven and the audience get to see Rose, and she says that she is very happy despite being unable to coexist with her soon-to-be son. For Rose, all of this is worth it because her son will get to be a human, something that she never was capable of. This moment gets both Sadie and Steven to cry, so it is truly something special.
And I need you to know that every moment you love being yourself. That's me, loving you and loving being you. Because you're going to be something extraordinary. You're going to be a human being.
Number 2. Rose's Scabbard. Pearl misses Rose. This episode is definitely one of my favorites, and it is this moment where we learn a lot about Pearl and how she views her current situation. Throughout this episode, Pearl becomes upset due to Steven knowing about things that she didn't even know, like that Lion may have a connection to Rose. This makes her in some ways jealous of Steven, as he knows things that Pearl thought only she and Rose knew. Everything reaches its most intense point near the end of the episode, where Pearl runs away because of this realization, and Steven tries to catch her. At one point, Steven almost dies because of Pearl not caring, which is very much unlike her. When Steven eventually catches up to her, he sees that Pearl is very sad and mourns the loss of Rose. She hopes for Steven to have some of Rose's memories, but that is not the case. But nevertheless, she shows Steven what it was once like long ago. Pearl's main reason for being on Earth was to be with Rose, and now that her leader is gone, she is unsure of what to live for. But Steven reminds her that she has to be there for him, as he is Rose's legacy.
Everything I ever did, I did for her. Now she's gone. But I'm still here. Sometimes, I wonder if she can see me through your eyes. What would she think of me now?
Well, I think you're pretty great.
And before I reveal the #1 emotional moment from the show so far, here's some honorable mentions. After all, there are so many good moments in the show that I couldn't fit them all into this small list. So many birthdays. Steven almost dies from old age. Chilatide. Lapis says she is no longer herself. Full disclosure. Steven sings. Back to the barn. Steven's speech about Pearl. Lars and the Cool Kids. Steven tells Lars that he didn't even know his own mother. Steven the Sword Fighter. Pearl is poofed. Open book. Steven tells the truth to Connie. Jailbreak. Jasper convinces Lapis to fuse. I'm pretty sure that there are more moments that I liked, but those are just a few of my favorites. Wow, there are definitely a lot. Now on to the most emotional scene in Steven Universe as voted by the fans. #1. On the Run. Amethyst and Pearl have an argument. This one actually won by quite a huge margin, and for good reason. Before this episode, not much was known about Amethyst. It was previously shown that she rarely opens up and lets out her true feelings. But after this episode, the way Amethyst was viewed as a member of the Crystal Gems had definitely changed. We learned about her past, that she was made in the kindergarten and emerged late, so she was alone for a long time. Pearl views the kindergarten only as a place of bad things, which makes Amethyst feel guilty for ever being created. They end up fighting each other, and their friendship is questioned. It is once again Steven who helps set things straight, allowing Pearl and Amethyst to understand how the other thinks. This is truly an intense and emotional scene, where all of the participants grow in character. Amethyst learns that she is not a mistake, and should be proud that she has become so much more than what was expected for her as a kindergarten gem. This episode, and more importantly, this scene convinced many viewers that Amethyst was as a complex of a character as any of the other gems, and has struggled throughout her life.
I never asked for it to be this way. I never asked to be made.
So that was the top 10 most popular moments in the show. And with that, we have finished our top 10 series. Now that this series is over, get ready for us to continue making theory and speculation videos, as well as anything else we decide to throw in. We will definitely be making Steven Universe videos, but we might add some new shows along the way. Many thanks to Cartoon Amino for sponsoring us throughout this top 10 series. It was a lot of fun to try out the app, and if you haven't downloaded it yet, I really do recommend that you do so. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel to see our latest videos as soon as they come out. We also have a Patreon with many cool incentives for donating, so definitely check that out. Thanks for watching!